Therapy. This is Marty V, and today I am joined by Coralie Moss. Coralie is a fantasy author living in British Columbia, which I am super jealous of, with her husband and their 2 rescue cats. Hi, Coralie, how are you?
Hi, Marty. I am doing great. Absolutely great. And I'm trying really hard to not get really tired of all the rain and fog.
You were telling me before we started recording. The weather has not been amazing since October, so that is a long time.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. But British Columbia is beautiful. I live on Salt Spring Island, and there are a lot of writers here. So,
and I love that.
Yeah. There is Megan Sienna Deutsch is another fantasy writer. Corinna Halley, who writes romance and horror and paranormal romance, is here.
That is so cool.
And then there's a whole bunch of, more established. Not more established. That's the
literature like.
Older gentleman writers. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel I understand what the lines are saying. So.
Yes. Exactly. The ...
So you were telling me before we got started a little bit about how you got started with writing.
Yeah, I started out writing contemporary romance. I went actually from writing, keeping a blog for, I think I had a blog for almost 10 years, because at one point I was teaching yoga and meditation and always thinking about life. So I blogged about it. And then my husband and I and our youngest son moved from Massachusetts to central Mexico, and we were there for 5 years. And there was a lot to blog about there. And then I met somebody who said, "Oh, I like your blog. Have you ever thought about writing a novel?" And I kind of laughed, because I would consider it a good day if I got like a 500 to 800 word blog post.
Yeah, but they're different beasts.
But then they are such different
blogging
beasts.
Is so hard to me.
It is. And I'm finding, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I'm finding that I'm trying very hard to write much shorter pieces in 2022, along with, novel length books. And it is like writing a short story, writing a vignette that has a beginning, middle, end.
It's a challenge.
Is hard.
Yeah. It is.
It really is. Like, you have to watch your
every
word.
It's
a different
every word
beast.
has to pack more than one punch. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. Yep. So I wrangled the novel beast, and I wrote a few romance novels, one of which will never see the light of day.
I have a couple of those, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
they've got gumption, but they're never going to come out.
In the first novel that I ever wrote, it's like whenever I ran out of plot, I just wrote a sex scene.
Oh no, that's my writing style now. No, I'm joking.
I know, it's like
I need to breed inspiration into this.
It was just it was a learning experience, and I took it as a learning experience. And then I wrote them, and I ended up self-publishing them, because I realized that whatever style of ADHD I have, it does not have the patience for going the route of traditional publishing, because my attitude is, why wait if I can do it myself?
Yeah.
So that's what I ended up doing. And then I couldn't figure out what to do next, because it was like, well, this person said write a novel and make it a romance, and I did that. So what's next? And I ended up having tea with my friend Megan who's a fantasy author, and she said, well, why don't you write what you love? And I love paranormal romance and urban fantasy. And so that's what I've been writing ever since. And I think I have, after I published the 3 contemporary romance books, I think this year I'll be publishing fantasy books number 13 and 14.
Congratulations. And how, that was only like 5-6 years ago, right?
Thank you. That's correct. So I started, yep, I've actually been publishing for 4 years. So the fantasy books have all come in the past 4 years. That is
awesome. I love that. I'm totally, go ahead.
I get a little tired.
Oh, I get a little tired. Is that what you said? I forgot. My brain is exhausted.
I'm tired. Yes.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I feel like sometimes I'm just always going, and it's like in the moments of rest I'm like, oh right, I need this. Like I forgot this is necessary.
Yeah.
Because I have never been diagnosed with any sort of like ADHD or anything like that, but there are certain things that make sense, right? And like you were saying, like, why would I wait? But then there's also like the hyperfixation of like, I just need to get to this hurdle, and then this hurdle, and then this hurdle. And there's nothing else but those hurdles. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There is, I mean, you see it, I think, in any conversation amongst writers, you see this idea of, or the concept of not just of time management, but also like project management. So our macro projects and our micro projects. And I look at my to-do list, and I look at my various book files and think, I need to live at least another 50 years to write everything I want to write, because
there's so much.
My God. Yeah. There's so much. And maybe, no.
I know. Well, no, the worst part is like, I know personally I'm finding like the more adept I get at telling story, the more ideas I have. And so like right now I have 3 novellas that aren't written and 10 novels just waiting, right? Their stories are right there. I just have to be able to get to them, and it's just, that's all going to take time. And I hate that part. I just want to do it.
It's
like, why do I have to choose to only do one at a time? Yeah,
I agree. There are people out there, there are writers who can work on projects simultaneously. And I have tried that. And it was like, we were talking about getting T-boned earlier. Yes.
The collision.
About getting in an accident.
Not a sexual
collision,
act.
Right. No. Oh gosh, no. The collision.
Listener, if you Google that and tell me
ideas.
whether or not it is a sexual act, I would love to get that answer, but I'm not going to Google it myself. My Google search is already weird enough. So.
And I can't Google it because I need no more rabbit holes. Seriously. I can't.
But okay, so talk about getting T-boned.
That's no. No, but that thing of trying to do multiple projects, some people can do that. I realized I can't do that. But what I can do, that I've kind of developed over the past few months, is I can have a major, like a primary project that's usually, that's a novel-sized project. And then because I started a Patreon that I'm not really like advertising yet, because this is just how I have to do things. I have to actually do them to learn how to do them.
I very much relate to that as well.
Yeah. I can't just like make a list or plan things out. I really have to do them.
I've gotten more capable of being able to research, but it's still... There gets to be like a very quick point where it's just like, okay, just take the step and just go. And yeah.
Exactly. So I'm doing, in addition to that big project, though, I'm doing much shorter
Mm-hmm.
stories. I'm calling them vignettes because
I
I
do
love
too.
that word vignette. And and that's like, God, there's no wood for me. Oh, here it is. Knock wood. I'm looking around and going, oh, this table is
I have
synthetic.
always thought it's more the action that matters than anything else. So cinder block, we're fine. The intention is there.
Okay.
Right?
Good. Okay. I have knocked intentional wood, and can we just jump over that? And yeah. So that is
Mm-hmm.
working.
Awesome.
It's working quietly. And I like that because you have side characters who sneak into a book, and then all of a sudden it's like they're waving just this little flag that says, when are you going to get to my story? That kind of thing. And some side characters are, really need to stay side characters, and other side characters, it's like when you look at them head on, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other story there, which is one of the beauties of writing or creating a series.
Be in that world.
I think you can explore. Yeah. So all the wild ideas you have as you're writing a book, if you're thinking about series potential, it's like it almost like generates itself.
Yeah.
I think.
Because the reason I have, it's 11 novels that I need to write. I forgot one.
Oh my gosh.
The reason I have so many is because one of the side characters, in like developing his characterization, I really became committed to his happily ever after, right? And yeah, I need to give it to him. Like, I'm so excited for him. He's gonna be so happy. He's a sweetheart. So
yeah,
I just need to, like, there was just no, and then it sprung off to an entire series. So here we are.
That's exciting and terrifying.
Gosh, but isn't everything? Like,
yeah,
anything that pushes you is there's room for there's room for pain, and the only way to actually succeed at anything is to allow yourself to hurt.
Yep. And excuse me, that thing about hurting or like embracing the possibility or just the knowledge that you're going to make mistakes, that's something that for me has it's almost like a mantra since starting to write and then going into self-publishing. It's like, you're going to make mistakes. So the sooner you get used to either like making them and then getting back up and putting on your big girl pants and crying, yes, but maybe also laughing, is good. And that I think it's important to make mistakes, and it's important to be kind to yourself. But it's also exhilarating. It's like, I don't know. It's like when you have kids and they fall down and they bust their, they scrape their knee when they're playing learning how to play baseball or whatever. And we as adults encourage them, we'll get up and try again, and you're going to be able to do this. And it's like we have to give ourselves that same grace and encouragement to. It's going to be painful. You're going to get bruised or banged around a little bit, but my gosh, the joy of like holding your story and creating a book out of it, and then having readers and then having more readers is just like,
I cannot wait for people to read it.
It's pretty cool. It's going to be good, Marty. It's going to be good.
We're getting there. But yeah, my daughter was on her scooter. She's 6. She just turned 6 on Monday, actually. She's a cutie. I'll let her know you said so.
birthday.
She'll tell me her birthday was like days. Mom, it already happened because obviously a couple days ago is an eternity to her right now. But she was on her scooter and she was trying to go really fast and she fell and she got right back. And I was like, oh man, good job. And she's like, but I fell. And I was like, but that means you were trying. Like you were pushing yourself. If you didn't allow yourself to fall, you couldn't have gotten any faster. You know, it's just.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, there just has to be room
Aww.
for. We all deserve the grace of making the mistake. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're, you're not published yet.
My debut will come out in August. So I'm working on. I know she's coming quick. I'm working on developmental edits on Truth or Dare right now.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
Marty,
so excited. Thank you. And then go ahead.
Are you self-publishing? Do you have a publishing date?
I had it August 26th, I believe, is what I have. I have to just like finish my pre-order and like send it into the world. But if I remember right, it's August 26th. Okay.
Well, I'm an August baby, and August babies are fantastic.
I love it. But yeah, so I'm working on getting that completed, it's a novella series that I'm coming out with first, and then the full-length novel that's coming out in November it's at the sensitivity reader. It's ready to go, depending on what they say, sort of thing. So,
Marty, this is so exciting. So you're going to be able. This is like having some releases closer together to start to generate.
I'm trying to manipulate those algorithms.
Excitement.
Yeah. So I have the August release of Truth or Dare. Its sequel I want to come out at the end of September, maybe beginning of October, and then Just Fake Married is ready to go in November. So I'll have those three and then get probably January or February. I think by March I'll have all of the novella series wrapped up. That's my goal. And in there I have, the anthology and stuff like that. So, yeah. So it's good stuff. It's good.
I love, whenever I talk to writers on the verge of self-publishing or considering it really seriously, I always pass on like the one piece of advice, if they'll let me give them one piece of advice, is it's the same. You're doing it. It was the same piece of advice that my mentor gave to me, which was have 3 books ready to go. They don't have to be perfect and polished, but you want to be able to get your first book out there, and then because that's also like it's like you're feeding this reading beast, and there are voracious readers out there. So at least when you're getting started, if you can pop those books out like 6 weeks, 2 months, or 3 months in between the first couple, then you're ahead of the game. You're starting to generate more readers. They'll read one book and want to know what's in your backlist and all of that. So You're doing it, Marty.
Yay!
You're doing it. Yay!
So
Wahoo!
In your 13 books that you've published, what are some of the things that you've like stumbled upon as far as like moments of knowledge, moments of struggle? Like what are some things that like have helped keep you going? Because that's a great number to have done in the last couple of years. That is
it's 15.
Sorry. It's 15, not 13.
It's 15. It's
Woman.
15.
Holy
Oh my
cannoli.
God.
No,
I'm
you're
sorry.
great. You're great.
I'm sorry.
Why
I
are you
apologize.
apologizing? That is such a bad A number. Oh, by the way, we do swear. I just have been around children all day. So if you want to let any swear words out, go for it.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, great. Oh boy. I learned something new with every book, and I can't always like list out the things I've learned, but something I really understand now is I can always go back and have a book re-edited. I can always go back and redo the covers. So you can always, once you put something out in the world, especially if you're self-published, you can keep tweaking it. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect before you launch it into the world, especially if that search for perfection is keeping you from, making that leap. So that was a really important thing.
Is that everything is more flexible than it feels?
Exactly. And I think that there are very few fatal mistakes.
That's a really nice one.
It's
that's a comforting message.
Well, I mean, and on that note, Coralie,
this has been a lovely conversation. I think we're done here.
It's been really good. I know. Community. Having a writing community. I think I first started finding other writers when I got on Twitter, and there was a pitch contest called Rev Pit. I don't know if they still do it, but a bunch of editors got together and did this pitch contest, and if you won, you got to work with an editor for free to work on your book. And I didn't win it, but in that rev pitting time, I hooked up with a bunch of other writers, and even though it started out as a big group, it has winnowed down to about 5 of us who have, like, I might talk to them more than I actually talk to my husband.
Well, I can't say I talk to my writing friends more than my husband, but it's really close, I would say. Yeah. Because he has to work and they message.
Well, I think that I message and or talk to my writers more than with my husband, in part because I don't want to overwhelm him with and then kind of stuff about the writing. But it's been so good because it's like having other people who will try different marketing ideas or promo ideas, or there are people that you can commiserate with who understand intimately what's going on. Like what it's like to struggle with a book or to struggle with a character or a storyline. And that's been invaluable. Like I don't think I could have done this or stayed in this long, even though 4 or 5 years doesn't feel all that like such a long time.
Yeah.
Without having that group around. So support people who have your back, people who will read your tweets before you fire them off.
So back me off the ledge, okay?
Talk about fatal mistakes. Yeah.
But in 4 or 5 years, there are plenty of times to recalibrate. There are plenty of times to change directions. So even though you're saying that's not a long time, there have been plenty of times where you could have changed your motivation. And you chose not to. And that's an important acknowledgement.
I would really agree because it's easy to get discouraged. Yeah. There's
so much noise out there.
Be thrilled. Oh yeah. And it's you can put out a book and it can feel like nobody's reading it. And you could go, well, I'm a horrible writer or nobody likes my books or whatever. But the thing is, if you keep writing and putting books out there, then you're going to build a backlist, and then you've got a whole backlist to promote, and you find different ways to talk about them. So it's like you're a little seedling, and you just keep figuring out like where to send your roots and your shoots and all of that. And maybe because I'm also like a mom of
wow.
4 boys and former yoga teacher, that I just feel like I want to cheerlead everybody into finding what gives them bliss, and then keep nurturing that. And that's what I think that's what I've done with this, is because I didn't expect to become a writer, and then it feels like it's the perfect way for me to tell the world about like how I see the world and the magic I see in the world.
That.
So it's like self-generating joy.
Do you feel like through your encouragement that has been, do you feel like through your encouragement that's like fed your own inspiration? Like that just kind of sounds like what you're saying. That's lovely.
Yep, absolutely. Because it's like if you're encouraging somebody else, then they reflect that back to you. That thing of, oh my God, we're all in this together, so let's help each other out, or hold each other hands, or if we need to, like, share a virtual pint of ice cream or 5 and cry, and then go to bed and get up the next day. And
because
just
you have your friends that have been through it too. So
absolutely.
The people that can say like, oh man, yeah, I've had a flop, that stunk, that hurt real bad, put my heart out there and no one wanted it, sort of thing. And
I know.
And it's really comforting from my position of just starting out, to like see people like yourself. I had a conversation with Tasha L. Harrison recently, and like her talking about like the moments that have propelled her career, and knowing that there was never like a straight up trajectory, like there were all the bumps along the way. It's a nice comfort, and like you said, having like knowing that everything can be changed and flexible. It's a nice comfort.
Yep. It is. And it's I don't think I know anybody. I can't think of it like a single writer or author I know for whom it's been just this straight line from idea to book to many sales, and kind of that kind of stardom's not the right word, but I think maybe we all have at least a secret dream that that our books will find their readers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that our readers, will love our books and want more,
and that it'll happen fast. That'll
like
be fire. Yeah, absolutely. Have a breakout.
Yeah.
And so even though we're all mitigating that, in that hope, and like, you know what, that hardly ever happens. It's totally fine. In the back of our minds, we're like,
exactly,
but it could be me, because it hardly ever happens, but that means it does happen.
Right. And that's like what you just said about like the idea of the breakout. That's like that circles back to like your question about, well, what have you learned? And it's reminding me that one of the things that I've learned is there are many ways to launch a book. And I'm thinking about that. Like, I'm thinking about everything I've learned about releasing a book into the world as I get ready to release this next book, and all the things that I won't call them mistakes, but all the things that I did in the past that maybe I did kind of half-assedly, because I half-assed the launch because everything was just kind of a log jam of deadlines. And so even though I met all my deadlines and I got stuff done, it got to the point where I'd release a book and I'd be like, the next day, like just on to the next book, which is fine. And it's good to keep writing, but it's also good to stop and celebrate. but it's also really good to do everything you can to let as much of the world know about your book as you can. And it doesn't mean you have to spend bajillions of dollars, but you have to be ready to do the work and
actually talk about it.
Because I've been kinder. Yeah, and to talk about it on social media or wherever, and to be willing to to expose that part of yourself. You know, the internet gives us this great anonymity, or sense of anonymity in a way, or standing behind a wall. But if you want people to know about you and your book and your characters and this incredible story you came up with and all of that, you have to talk about it. And that's my self-assignment on this book, is to actually give myself the time to create a proper kind of swell before I release this book.
What?
So that's
Can I ask, what are some of the techniques you're going to be doing for that?
So I will probably do a lot of create a lot of posts beforehand. So I'll go through my manuscript, I'll do pull quotes, maybe some of my favorite scenes, things like that, to build interest in the story, interest in these characters, but also to show like the range of emotions within this book. So some of these characters are very funny. The two primary, the heroine and her best friend, like they laugh a lot together. And there are these sexy times. So to put more time into actually doing that kind of work. So I have things to post on a very regular basis. I might be brave and put it up on NetGalley using one of the co-op services.
Why?
I will get it out to...
Can I ask what NetGalley does? I keep on hearing that phrase thrown out there, but I haven't done any research on like what it does. Why is that a brave move? And like stuff like that.
Oh my God. Well, NetGalley has been known to make lots of writers cry. So when you're, you've probably already heard this thing already, but it's like, so how do you get reviews for your book, especially if your book isn't out yet? And there are places like Amazon that won't let
people,
at least for the most part, I think, won't let people post reviews, or they won't let reviews go live until your book is live, which is sometimes why we publish a paperback first.
Oh, okay.
And then like quietly publish the paperback so that can start to get reviews, and then publish the ebook, like make a splash around the ebook. So yes, it can be helpful to launch your book with some reviews. And there are sites like Voracious Readers Only and Booksprout and others that I can't remember off the tip of my tongue, where you submit your book and then people who might want to review it sign up to do that. And it's really, it's a crapshoot. You're kind of trusting them to give an honest review, because we all know our friends are going to give us 5 stars and glowing reviews. And it really helps to have a balance of reviews that are not from friends who know and love you and want to see you succeed. So it's like that, the voice of that voice also. But there's also, so NetGalley, it's, you pay to have your book listed there. And, so like a lot of publishing houses will put upcoming books onto NetGalley, and you can sign up. You could become a NetGalley reviewer, but you have to be approved. So there's an approval process. But if you're using one of these co-ops, it can be really expensive, but with a co-op, it's much more affordable. So that means if I do that, I'll have to spend time vetting the different reviewers. Because there are reviewers out there who seem to make it, who it seems like their signature review is a very snarky review. So it pays to vet your reviewers. Yeah, and to vet your ARC readers, things like that. But this book will go out to ARC readers, which I haven't done in a number of books, probably just because I was so exhausted last year that I basically wrote books, put them out, and didn't do much else. So yeah, so that kind of thing. Getting the manuscript into more people's hands prior to the release, and maybe running some contests or other things authors do will swag if you like send me your receipt for your ebook, and you get like a sticker swag, things like that. So I've got a bunch of ideas, and this book goes to my alpha reader next week, and then that's when space will clear up in my brain to actually start planning this release.
I know everyone's talking.
It will be a new adventure.
Well, that's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that everyone's talking about Kickstarter right now. Have you thought about doing something like that? Okay.
At this point, no. But that's only because I'm asking myself, like, what value can I offer anyone wanting to back a Kickstarter? And that could be a future project. So say this series that I'm starting this year. So this novel I'm writing right now is the first book of this series. Say this series goes really well, and I decide after the third or the fifth book comes out that I want to do a special edition, kind of like what Katie Robert did, like maybe do commission new artwork for the covers, or do special hardcover editions, really take the time to make some great swag that's very specific to the characters. Then I would consider it, because then the Kickstarter helps me pay for the costs of getting that artwork and getting those hardcovers and all that kind of a thing. So I would need a big idea, and also probably have the books written before I was going to do a Kickstarter. But I think it's a fantastic idea, and it creates that thing we're all looking to create, which is community. So you're creating a community of readers who are buying into this fantastic idea, this limited edition of stuff, and then they get the benefits. So I think Patreon, Kickstarter, those kinds of things where you're helping to support, you're literally supporting the arts and the artists. I think they're great.
I wish I could
think they're really
remember
helpful.
The author's name. I want to say it was on I Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I will try to remember to put it in the show notes. But they were talking about doing Kickstarters. And one of the things that they had that I'm like, that is such a good idea. They had an annotated recording of them pretty much going chapter by chapter and explaining the writing process of that chapter, or like funny things, how the chapter changed, different things like about the writing process. And that was one of the stages on the Kickstarter. And I was like, that is, for one thing, as like a reader, I would love that. Right. So it's essentially like doing the commentary, like a film commentary for your book. Right. And like, right. And so
I love that idea. I am writing that idea. I love
it.
Down.
I love it so much. It's only a couple hours of your life. And then you could still post that after the Kickstarter's done and just post it for sale.
Yep.
Right? And so it's just one more stream of income. And, you know, people that like how you tell story will enjoy listening to how your brain puzzled out the different ways to tell story. And I just, there are definitely authors that like, I would buy that from, you know? And so I love that because it's going to be a low cost threshold to put that on the Kickstarter. Because I've been thinking after my conversation with Tasha, she had a lot of input on business. She has a great mind. um, she does.
Oh, she does. She does. And she's in this, she's been, she has other non-writer friends that she works with that it's very much a business-minded group. And so I love when she starts riffing or starts sharing ideas and all of that, I take notes all the time. Because it's like I can't think of all the possibilities, which is another great reason to be involved with to be around other artists and authors and writers and all of that, because it's so fascinating the things that people are coming up with to flesh out the book, to offer more than just a story, like the things that go with it. So I love that idea of the annotated reporting.
Yeah, I thought that was so clever. But she had pointed out, she had suggested, she did not tell me to, but she really suggested. And she was right. She's not wrong. Going KU, even though like my mind was set on wide for different reasons. But my ultimate goal is to go wide. So if I were to do Kickstarters and, have them end, a month to 2 weeks before the release date, then I have reached some wide readers before going exclusive to KU. And it seems like a nice balance to be training the readers that like this will not always be in KU, and to be pulling in readers that are not in KU. So
absolutely,
it might not happen this year, but I am planning on doing some Kickstarters and being just.
Well, I think that's what you just said reminds me that a Kickstarter doesn't have to be for a massive project.
I'm planning on it.
It can actually
book release. I would have like a $250 goal, and it just helps me recover some of the cost of publishing prior to actually publishing, and it gives me something else to talk about on social media along with the launch, and just drumming up attention.
Marty, if you could see inside my brain right now.
Did the light just come on?
It's like,
I will send you that podcast episode. My brain was on fire. I will send it to you. I loved it.
Yep. It's the brain is on fire, and you said a couple of you said a couple of phrases there that I've said myself. It's like training the readers where to find you, training the readers how to get your books. If you can do that from the get-go, that is awesome. Like what you just said, of training readers to understand it'll be Kickstarter wide and then bumped into KU. And then that way you're reaching people who read on other devices and prefer other platforms and all of that. So the idea of multiple income streams, that is the goal. Like try every income stream possible. Why not? Why not? There's no rule that says you can't sell your stuff on Etsy or like I've got a lot of like other people. I've got a PayHip site, and I sell everything except for paperbacks, I guess, on my PayHip site. So that thing of in multiple income streams and maximizing your reach, maximizing your platforms, to not be shy about telling the world about your book, because not everybody is going to see every single post unless you have a designated post watcher, which I don't know anybody who does. And there's also that thing about like, God, it used to be something like, somebody has to see something 5 times before they'll buy. And then it was 7 times. And I think it's now up to 9 like 8 or 13 is the number times I've heard or recently. Something like that. Yeah. So we know it's a lot of
exactly.
So, you can be shameless about your self-promotion.
That is something I need to wrap around.
And that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like I know it in my bones, but it's something I don't practice yet. And 2022 and this book coming up is my chance. Like, so we're bringing this down to like this personal levels. Like, it's my chance to do that. And I would cheerlead anybody on into that, like what you said, and to listen to what people say, or research like how people have done Kickstarters. And I just think it's fascinating. Kickstarter is there to be used. Patreon is there to be used. It's no, like, what's the barrier? And that's like, for me, again, one of the beauties of self-publishing is there are far fewer barriers, and you can actually publish your book without spending a cent.
Well, and like, so often the barrier is us. So like, let's get out of our way. Like, let's just do this.
Hallelujah. Yes. Yes, exactly. Write the book, put the book out there. Yes, it's great if it can get proofread and everything, but there's also like more and more things like, Autocrit and Grammarly. There are all these ways, there's all this software out there that will help you become a better writer, that will help you see your patterns. So why not, if you're on a learning curve to do all of this, avail yourself of all the resources, because there are so many resources out there. And yes, you can spend a fuck ton of money, but you can also spend not much money and still come up with a really good project or a really good product. And go back to that thing I said way earlier, is that you can always go back when you have more money and get better covers, or get it edited in a different way, or whatever.
Like, you can change your pen name.
But yeah.
You know, like, you can release now and like have some level of income. And if you just feel like your name has been dragged through the mud, change your pen name. Like, write a different book. Now you have some funds coming in. Get the proofread done. You know, like, you can build up your business from just nothing. Like, something I'm really trying to embrace is like, it's just words. You know, like, nothing. It's just words. It's just the way I put words on the page. And it's not good. Oh, well, I think it's fantastic. But like, if someone else doesn't see value in it, that's okay. Like, it's just words, you know, and none of it has to be sacred, and we can just keep on building.
Exactly. It's not sacred. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
In high school, I had this teacher in high school. I went to a high school for the arts, and in a ceramics class. And so he was like, we threw all these pots, and then he made us break them.
I love that.
And I can remember some of the other students got really mad. Some cried and refused to break their pots. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can break it and I can make it again. So that has been like, that was such a profound moment in my life that happened when I was I was 15. That. And that is so true for the writing process. You can always save your files. You can always have a rejected darlings file kind of thing. But that's also the beauty of this. You can write the words, and you can edit the words, and you can say goodbye to the words, and you can just keep writing the words. And
like, if it is a rejected darling, like, you can steal from it later. You know, like, the more experience you get doing it, the more you're able to handle what you couldn't handle before about that story. And just steal from it later. It's fine. It's still yours. Exactly.
Yeah. I rarely, like, when I'm editing, and even when I'm writing, like, I I save multiple versions in my Scrivener, because I like seeing where a story started, and often in the stuff that I edit, there's at least a couple of little pearls. So just keep it, because at some point, that could become a different story. So
yeah,
so yeah.
So Coralie,
so you don't have to throw. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was just saying you don't have to throw anything out. You just put it in a different file.
Yeah, no, don't throw anything out. They're just words, but you already wrote them. Keep them. Like,
exactly. They cost you.
You earned those words.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I would love to ask, like, is there anything else? Okay, one of the things we like to close up the podcast by saying, like, giving a piece of writing advice, like just something that you're working on now. But before we get there, is there anything else you would like to share? I don't want to, if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, I don't want to, like, cut you short there.
I feel like we covered a lot.
I feel like
I
had a lot of moments where I was like, yes.
Yeah. And I think we said, like, we went over the main things, like, just do it, find community. Yeah. Everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine.
Multiple income streams. Maximize your potential, your reach.
We had a great chat. Listener, you are welcome.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Congratulations, us.
I'm exhausted. If the listeners have other questions, they can always email me or find me on Twitter.
And we'll share contact at the end, and there'll also be links in the show notes of connecting to you. So, yeah.
Great.
When is your next book coming out?
Thank you.
Do you have a release date?
So I have a general release date. So for quirky reasons, I tend to like to release books on full moons, because to me, like releasing on a full moon is, like, for me, about completion, or to find, like, some other date on the calendar that has meaning for me. So I think this book will come out on the autumn equinox in September. So I think that's like September 23rd or something like that. It's called The Goddess and the Woodsman, and it's the first book in the Goddess by Proxy series.
I'm so excited about that.
And
what a title.
Okay,
tell me more about this Woodsman.
Well, okay. Oh yeah, The Woodsman. But I had this idea, like, a year ago, that what if like goddesses got really tired and just needed a break? And so I had the idea of The Goddess by Proxy, because I love writing magical creatures and all of that there would be this school they could go to learn how to, like, do Persephone's duties for her.
Lovely.
So Persephone could have a year off, or Aphrodite, or whatever.
Oh, that's such a cute idea. So they can just take a break. Like, they can vacation.
The goddesses can take a break, but of course there won't be anything easy about this process, and hilarity will ensue. But each one will be like a complete romance, because romance is going to be a part of it. So yeah, so that'll come out starting in September, and then once this goes off to my beta reader, I will start planning the book launch.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you.
And I'm saying it here to you so that I'll, like, actually do it. So
do you want this? We'll talk after. Yeah. But anyway, I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited too, Marty.
Do you? Oh, go ahead.
So you said.
No, you're good.
Oh, go ahead. Well, you were saying, like, to a piece of writing advice, and I think I would say there are times to be fearless in your writing, and I found that this book and the idea for this series, it's not urban fantasy. There's going to be more romance. There's going to be more sex, let's say, than my readers are used to. But I needed to write this book, and I need to write this series, and so I feel like I'm taking a personal leap of faith that I will be able to bring, hopefully, most of my readers
Mm-hmm.
with me on this. So I think that's another thing that I know not all writers would maybe agree with me, but if you can, maybe you don't always, maybe you start in one genre, but maybe it's not your genre, or maybe you become really good at writing in a couple different genres, but to kind of go where the story leads you and to
I
be
love
fearless.
that.
Yeah.
My piece of writing advice. I need to start stockpiling these. You know what? What I have done this week is
What?
looked at, based on when I want Truth or Dare to release. I looked at when I want the second book to release and worked backwards in my schedule to make sure I had time to do all that. So I guess planning, like with time and space, would be my piece of advice. And
that's a great one, and what you just said about working backwards is really good.
yeah.
I would totally agree. And then you can also look at things like other family events or other things that would interfere, like with that time space continuum between books and all of that. So that's a
Thank
good
you.
one, Marty. That's a good one.
So Coralie, where can people find you?
They can find me at coraliemoss.com.
Which I love your name, by the way. It's so pretty.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. It's a pen name, but it's a carefully
really
chosen
pretty
pen name.
Like, it gives so many different colors and textures.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are links to everything on my website and all the different things I do, including book formatting and mentoring into self-publishing and all my different series and that kind of thing.
You can find Kate, who obviously isn't with us right now, but Kate, you can find her at by Kate Pryor on Instagram, Twitter, and that's it. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Marty V Author, or you can sign up for my newsletter at martyv.com. And yeah, listener, thank you so much for listening. And Coralie, thank you so much for being here. This has been lovely.
Marty, this has been fabulous, and thank you so much for inviting me to come on to this fantastic podcast. I've had a great time talking to you, and thank you everybody who's listened.
Bye, listener. You're the best.